The future of Wuthering Waves might not necessarily be what you think it is. A Reddit thread was made last month detailing the Chinese fandom, culture, and expectations for Wuthering Waves in terms of the demographic, the writing, and by all intents and purposes, the future of the game. This Reddit thread, this potential direction, has been a cause for alarm for some global players. Some of these players have voiced their discontent with this on social media, Twitter specifically, going as far as to claim they are going to quit the game altogether if this is the direction that the devs Kudo decide to go. Me? I am perfectly happy with the direction of the game. I have been thoroughly enjoying myself every step of the way, but let's go ahead here and take a look at the plausible potential future of Wuthering Waves and how the Chinese fandom are impacting the game and the route the game is going to take. The OP from the thread goes on to state that he likes talking about Chinese internet culture, so he wanted to make a post about the general gist of WuWa's fan service orientation shifts in terms of what the Chinese fandom expects. Chinese two-dimensional, aka anime games, usually have a specific demographic that they target. While it's not often stated officially, the fandom has an idea of what it is. It's talked about openly on social media, and expectations also follow. It's more specific that just male or female oriented. There are also expectations for ships and types of fan service and whatnot. This is true. We've seen this in every single Chinese gacha game. And also, I want to preface this by stating that this is one person's take on this as a Chinese player. It might not be definitive proof, or very evidently is not definitive proof, and this is based purely off of one person's experience with a large group of the community overall. Some Chinese terms and ideas. Game orientation, female or male oriented games. General oriented means game caters to both. WuWa is considered general. However, general-oriented one does not always cater equally. It often favors male players. We've seen this with the release of Jian, with the release of Shangmiyao. Selling, such as selling BL ships or selling meat, characters showing skin. It doesn't mean anything is literally being sold. It just means that the game is using it as a way to cater to a demographic of players. BL, GL, BG ships. BL is male-male, GL is female-female, BG is male-female. Oh my god, these are terms I never knew existed. Wow. Otome, which are female-oriented romance games where a female protagonist dates male characters. Yumejo, which are women that ship themselves with a character. Wow. Okay, regarding ship dynamics. In China, games like Honkai are known in fandom to be GL bait type games, and in general, MiHoYo games are known to sell ships, especially BL and GL. BG is rare because BG shippers are a fandom minority. Gacha games like Fate Grand Order are a pretty rare example where they have BG and most people accept it. Perhaps it's due to being long-established ships with Saber and Shido, or historically canon. There's another type called ML, which I see talked about less, which are ships with a protagonist. I think this is actually where Wuthering Waves comes into play. It comes from Fate Grand Order Master Love. The protagonist is considered a self-insert, and the characters around them often have either a positive impression of them or outright in love with them. Yeah, that is essentially where we're at in Wuthering Waves. Kudo is known to sell ML. Their other game, Punishing Raven, is an example of this. They don't hint at it either, like most gachas. It is canonical. Shippers and ML lovers have conflict. ML lovers hate ship baiting because they feel cucked. Chinese players really do, which is why they send vans out in front of studios. Shippers hate ML because they want to ship other characters together, not with the protagonist, and you realistically can. Every character, like, I just want to point this out. I want to be very clear with regards to like Wuthering Waves. Shorekeeper has a thing for Rover. Changmi is a thing for Rover, right? Camellia has a thing for Rover, but they're all disconnected. It doesn't matter. You could purposely disregard a Resonator story if you want to, or skip the text so you never see the story unfold, unravel, and evolve with different characters, and just live in your own fantasy world with your own character. That works wonders. Before we go any further, let me take a moment here to thank my incredible patrons over on Patreon and my YouTube channel members who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos like this every single day. You guys are phenomenal, and I can't thank you all enough for the support. Now let's keep talking. Regarding the protagonist, another point of contention within Chinese fandoms is the placement of the protagonist. Protagonists are treated differently between players. Some treat them as a self-insert, some treat them as a way just to view the story, and some treat the protagonist as their own character, just like any character from a gacha. That's not the kind of player I am. I literally just play games as a hot female because I think they look better when running around and you see them from behind. A really clear example of this is in Genshin, where self-insert players hate how invisible and uninvolved the main character is. A meme even spawned where they call them yellow camera. Yellow refers to their hair, and camera speaks for itself. Some people dislike the main character or just find them boring, so they want the protagonist to be uninvolved and instead watch the other characters interact. There's conflict between the ones who want to play an important protagonist and those that want the protagonist to be uninvolved. A lot of the conflict revolves around anti-self-inserts shitting on self-inserters. Example, who do you think you are? Wanting the protagonist, representing yourself to be OP when you're a loser IRL? Oh god, these people are toxic. While self-inserters hate playing a game feeling like they are an outsider or useless. They prefer to feel like the main character. Oh, this is a wild thread so far. So with this background laid out, what is Wuwa's positioning among the Chinese player base? Well, Wuwa's player base expects ML, and for the protagonist to be important. Honestly, Punishing Raven is an ML game, so Kudo is really just carrying on their tradition, same for how Hoyo games always tend to sell ships. There's another meme regarding this. In Chinese, gamers speak through the point of view of the game's main character and refer to themselves with a first-person pronoun accordingly. In Genshin, instead of using I, players somewhat jokingly refer to themselves with the first-person pronoun yeah. It's basically an arrogant, high seniority type of pronoun. Wuwa takes it to another level. Players refer to themselves as Rover with Zhen, which is the first-person pronoun of the Emperor. Oh, okay, sure. They like to think they're real important, huh? So basically, players can expect writing leaning this way leading forward. There will likely be no ship baiting, mainly but only between NPCs. However, characters have to interact somehow, so there may be instances that are shippable, but Kudo will likely try to minimize it to avoid accusations of selling ships. This applies for male and female characters, by the way. Female ML fans also do not like ships. As well, a lot of Wuwa players hate being a yellow camera, so Kudo obviously has been trying to emphasize the protagonist in the plot, which we've seen, and I appreciate that. Because the alternative is a relatively silent protagonist with Paimon yapping all day, reiterating things we already know. I've been putting off writing this for a while, but recently there's been some debate about the plot, so I thought it might be a fitting time to post it. I noticed in Western fandom, a lot of people were saying the Rover is not a self-insert or that characters aren't actually in love with the Rover. For example, the Shorekeeper. I mean, some are. Like, Changli has a thing for you, but that's due to her history with her master. Shorekeeper evidently has a thing for you, but that's because, like, since the dawn of the creation of each other, you've, like, coexisted alongside each other, and you have this deep, meaningful relationship. And with, like, Camellia, you know, spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't already played it, but she has this mentality where it's like, Rover either needs to be mine or I need to kill them. Like, they don't care which side they're on, whether it's to love or to murder. So I don't necessarily think it's you know, like a ship necessarily, but they'll have their own interesting backstory and reason for feeling the way they do about the Rover. I feel it's best to play the game in a way that makes you happy since it's a game. For me, I'm not interested in Shorekeeper, so I personally headcanon her as a friend, but I know the intention of the writers. I think people should be aware of the actual fandom positioning of this game in China and that Kudo is selling ML. It's intentional, and Rover is seen as a self-insert. You don't have to self-insert if you don't want to, but just in terms of the overall intention, that's your jam, then hooray. But if it's not, then I think you got to set your expectations accordingly. This is actually a really well-written thread, and I appreciate DOP taking the time to write this because I know a lot of people felt similarly to this, that the Rover was a self-insert, that they were definitely, like, every female or male character, even with regards to, like, Shang Liao had some kind of feeling towards Rover. This pretty much summarizes everyone's general feelings. So I think this is definitely needed. This has gotten thousands of upvotes, hundreds of comments on Reddit, so evidently it is highly talked about. I don't know if this was positively or negatively received. I just know that the future of Wuthering Waves is definitely pretty much where we've been, which means lots of attractive characters, male and female, having some type of relationship with the Rover. It doesn't necessarily need to be romantic, but they are going to nonetheless have some form of connection with the Rover, and that connection probably has existed for years, decades, hundreds of years, since this game spans centuries. Whether we like it or not, that is the general direction of the game and the plausible potential future. Once again, I am happy with that because I thought Shorekeeper's story was great. I thought Camelia's story was great. And I like the direction that the game is going overall. Hey, you, where do you think you're going? Don't you close out of this tab. I didn't give you permission to do that. Sit your ass back down. Click one of the 2 videos that are going to be on screen in just a moment and keep watching my content. Keep enjoying my content.